Alright, what's up guys? Gonna do a stop hopping tutorial in this video for Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. Pretty much the same in both games. I'm gonna use New Vegas here because it's better. But yeah, let's see how long I could talk about stop hopping for. So I'm gonna go through what it is, how to do it, and then how to do it specifically for speedrunning to kind of maximize your efficiency in stop hopping. And I'll also just run through my setup so you can kind of see what I'm using in terms of sensitivity and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, geez, let's just jump into it. So stop hopping is essentially a movement tech in New Vegas and Fallout 3. And it looks like this. Here's how I do it. If you want to take a look at the bottom left, I got a speedometer, and you can also see my keys, what keys I'm pressing and stuff. But yeah, the normal walking speed is about 53. And when you stop hop, it goes way up there, about 75.8. That should be a successful stop hop speed. And this is what it looks like. Basically, all you got to do is flick your mouse and then hit space and then W. And you're going to kind of use your momentum and throw yourself a little bit further. It's basically like bunny hopping. It's also known as circle hopping. But yeah, that's how you do it. So I'll show you real quick kind of like what it looks like and like break it down kind of slowly. And I'll show you like what not to do. So yeah, let's do that. All right, so when you're stop hopping, something you want to keep in mind on what not to do and kind of keep in mind as you're doing it and as you're learning is the order of operations, I guess you could say. It's the order of which you're pressing the buttons. So, for example, in order to initiate a stop hop, you can't be holding down W or any directional button. You can't be holding W. You can be moving, but in order to actually do a stop hop, you have to let go of W. And then the first thing to initiate the stop hop is going to be to flick your mouse. It doesn't have to be like something crazy. It doesn't have to be quick. It doesn't have to be a fast flick. You just have to have some sort of movement here on your mouse. So I find it most comfortable to just kind of go to the side. I go to the right just because I like it. You could go to the left. Whatever works for you. You could literally do a circle. It's really just whatever you're most comfortable with. And you're going to do that. And during the flick, you are going to jump and then hit W. In that order, you have to jump and then hit W. And it's going to look like this. So you flick, and during the flick, you're going to hit space and W. And you'll kind of notice that like some of them are a little bit more choppy than others. It really just depends on if you're doing it all correctly. If you're flicking and doing space and W during the flick, it should come off nice and smooth. And you have to keep in mind that order specifically. If you're holding W and you try and do it, it's not going to work. You have to let go of W when you initiate the next hop. So if you're trying to chain them together, you have to let go of W when you do it. And during the flick, you're going to want to hit space and W during the flick. And that'll maximize your efficiency for that stop hop. You can't do it out of order. You can't do W and then space. You can't do W space and then flick. So you have to flick while hitting space and jump at the same time. Not the same time, but in quick succession. Space and then W. And that's pretty much it. The biggest difficulty is going to be in kind of how you maintain that and your consistency in flicking and then hitting space and W within the flick. That's going to be the biggest key. And being comfortable with the flick is definitely going to take some getting used to. But that's going to be the key, is to kind of getting comfortable with it and getting comfortable with the motions. Once you build that muscle memory, it will be really easy. You can alternate like this. You can do it without even like flicking at all. I mean, you just have to have that movement, like I said. So you barely even have to flick it at all. You just kind of have to. I mean, you can do some really tight stop hops if you try. You could do some really small stuff like that, and it still works just fine. All right, I mean, that's pretty much stop hopping, guys. I really can't break it down more than that. But we will go into some more detail here on speedrunning specific strategies on how to maximize your stop hop. So let's do that. So there's two things that I want to talk about in like stop hopping tech here. All right, so the first is how you land when you're chaining them together. There's two kind of thought patterns on how you do it, right? So as you know, with stop hopping, it's in the name. You have to stop before you could do your next hop. So there's two ways that you can do that. One is when you land, you can let go of W before you hit the ground, and then do the next hop. But pay close attention to the speedometer when that happens. It goes straight to 0, and that's it. It's slower. It is a little bit more consistent if you're jumping over an area where, let's say, the terrain is a little bit rocky, or you're jumping onto a surface where the geometry in the game just is kind of weird. Maybe it's this fence. You want to make sure you land your stop hop. Those are moments where doing a deliberate stop before you land is going to be really helpful. And if you're just on flat ground like this, here's the second type, and this is going to be, I think, essential to improving your stop hopping. If you're looking at, a fast run on the leaderboards and you're wondering why you just can't catch up, this is probably going to be why. And you need to let yourself land briefly after each hop. And you have to be holding W when you land. Notice how I kind of go forward a little bit because my character has that momentum. I'm kind of doing like a half step forward after I land because I'm holding W when I land. And that is a time frame in which you can stop hop even though you're moving. But because you're not holding W and you're still moving forward, you can do a stop hop. So that's kind of the sweet spot for when you want to do it. You got to keep in mind that when you're looking at the speedometer during that time, it's never going to hit 0. It's going to fluctuate down to 50 or so, but it's never going to hit 0, and that's kind of the key. Because it's never hitting 0, your stop hops are going to be more fluid, and you're going to maintain your momentum a lot better. So if you're just on flat ground, if you're doing a speedrun, glitchless speedrun, the bulk of the run here, you're going to be doing this type of a stop hop where you land, and then for a brief moment, you're going to land and hold W, and then let go of W while you're doing that kind of that little half step forward. If I could do it slower, looks like this. That works too, but if you notice the speedometer again, you have more time when you're not at 75, but it's still not 0, so it's better than the other way. And then you also got to keep in mind the amount of times that you stop hop. If you're stop hopping, right at the top of your jump like this, it might be a little bit slower than if you were to wait that little bit, because every time you stop hop, you're not hitting W, and W is moving forward. So if you're doing a lot of stop hops, you're eventually going to lose a little bit of time because of all those times that you're letting go of W. Then lastly, that I want to talk about is mouse control. When you're trying to just go in a straight line, let's say I'm going to the sign straight ahead, if I don't have control of my mouse and I don't have control of my flicks and I'm looking all over the screen like this, I'm doing a stop hop like this, it's working, right? Like I'm doing a stop hop, but I'm wasting a lot of time. All the time that I'm looking around all these other directions is time I'm not moving forward. I'm moving kind of forward, but it's not going to be the same as doing something more direct and more in control. This way is going to be a lot faster in the long run because you're not spending so much time looking in the wrong direction because of a big flick. So keep that in mind when you're stop hopping. And that's pretty much all I have for that. I think that the biggest barrier for stop hopping is going to be practice. It does take some time. I'm telling you, like when I started out, my flicks, they did look like this. I was just kind of freaking out on the screen because I just wanted to get the stop hop off, but I wasn't in control and I was losing a lot of time. And because I wasn't in control, I was a lot more sloppy on the stop hops. They weren't consistent enough. So I think just practice is how you're going to get better. And I think, just practice stop hopping all over the place. Go over some mountains, go over some terrains, go uphill. Stop hopping uphill is kind of fun. It's a little bit different, but there's a lot of times in the run when you're going to be going uphill, and you have to adjust your stop hop timing because you're going to be going, you're going to have to do it more frequently because you're hitting the ground more. And then it's the same for going the other way. If you're going downhill, you got to make sure you are extending that W. Each stop hop is so important. You have to maximize how long you're holding forward and how little you're moving your mouse away. So practice stop hopping all over the map, and eventually you'll get there. And if I could, I'll show you kind of what I have for sensitivity. My Windows mouse setting is pretty much like right in the middle, maybe a little bit less than the middle. I use a mouse that's set at 1600 DPI. And then in my settings, I have the one blip on the mouse sensitivity. So that's how I do stop hops. Some people, they bind a mouse button to jump. I do bind my jump button to right mouse button as well, but I don't stop hop like that. I find it difficult. I like it all on my left hand, so I use spacebar. But, you know, fiddle around with some other combinations. There's nothing wrong with using the right mouse button to do a stop hop either. Some people do prefer it because the flick and the space is on their same hand. But I like space. I think it works the best. So that's how I do it. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. And for Fallout 3, I want to just quickly mention it's the exact same. The only thing is it's a little bit different, and you're also going to want to make sure you back out to the main menu and then go back in. If you don't do that in Fallout 3, you will not be able to do stop hops as successfully. There's like a bug in the game, and it just doesn't work as well. It's very like chunky, it just doesn't feel right. You'll know what I'm talking about if you've tried it. So just back out to the menu, go back in for Fallout 3 specifically, and stop hops are going to feel a lot more normal. And yeah, hey, good luck, guys. And gee, hey, I'll see you around.